Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to be doing kind of a chit chat, get ready with me, paired with one of the palette potential videos that I've been doing. I'm not exactly sure how many have been up already, but I'm kind of switching the format to make these blend a little bit better with my regular content. So before I was doing one look on each eye, which I think is a good way to approach it, but I usually will film more than one video in a day, and to have 3 or 4 videos in a day that have like 2 different eye looks just is kind of not me. And I'd rather have makeup on that I feel absolutely confident in instead of kind of this experimental kind of look. So, and not experimental like artsy, but experimental like testing. Experimental kind of thing. So I'm going to just be doing as many shades as I can with these palettes and going from there and forming my opinion on that. I'm not going to go as in depth as I was before because this is a chit chat, get ready with me, so I'm not going to be talking specifically about each shade unless something comes up that I feel like is pertinent to what I am experiencing on my eye or something like that. So if you guys have never been here before, hi, my name is Haley. Somewhere on the screen will be my socials, and this is my realm of creativity where I mainly focus on makeup, but sometimes I talk about fantasy related things. If that sounds interesting to you, I suggest you go ahead and subscribe because I'm weird. I'm sure you're probably weird, and we can be weird friends. Now, today the palette I'm using is the Alter Ego Goddess palette. I haven't busted this one out in quite some time, and I have a look in my head. So hopefully that will come to fruition on my eyeballs. I wanted to talk today about fashion, specifically because I've kind of gotten into my own sort of style in the less than a year. When I worked at Sherwin-Williams, I had almost all of my clothes that were not my uniform, my work uniform, were my college clothes, my old college clothes. And when I got my new job and I didn't have like a set uniform, I decided that I was going to go through my wardrobe, go through what I wear, and a lot of it is gone. There are like a few pieces from my best friend who gave me some stuff before she moved to Vegas that I kept for sentimental reasons, but other than that, a lot of my wardrobe just went. Because I wasn't feeling confident in the wardrobe that I had because it was very college. Which there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're a college, what in the fuck is on my hand? I don't know. Especially if you are in college or just graduated, but I had been graduated for almost 2 years by that point. And I just had a lot of my college wardrobe out of laziness and out of basic depression. Like, I didn't feel like I wanted to dress up or look my best on the weekend when I wasn't in my uniform. All I wanted to wear was sweats and comfy clothes because my uniform was heavy boots, it was khakis and a belt and a Sherwin-Williams shirt, and I just felt disconnected from my ability to express myself in a fashionable way. And I wouldn't say that like growing up in high school or anything, I was particularly fashionable either. Like I didn't have like the most in things. I grew up very impoverished, and it wasn't cool to shop at Goodwill. When I was growing up. It is pretty cool now. I mean, thrifting is very much in, and all of my wardrobe, minus a few things, have been thrifted. And I get complimented on my clothes all the time, and it makes me feel good that I have a sense of style that I can build in a low impact way, both financially low impact to me and reusing what has already been made, which if you don't thrift is absolutely fine. My husband doesn't thrift. I know a majority of people in my life don't thrift. Personally, for me, that's just the choice that I have taken upon my wardrobe journey. But growing up, it was not popular to buy from Goodwill as it is now. And a lot of the trends that were happening at the time that I was a child and my family could only afford to purchase from Goodwill, a lot of the trends weren't cycling in to those stores. Very much like Hollister, Aeropostale, heavy, which just was not getting upcycled like it is now. And that's really all I wanted. I wanted to be able to afford to look like those popular kids with their Aeropostale and their American Eagle, and that just wasn't something that my family could afford. And regardless of the fact if that was my style or not, it was just what was popular. And as I got older, I didn't want to lean into fashion because I wanted to be different. I very much fell victim to I need to be as different as possible, oh gosh, to other girls my age that cared about fashion, that cared about makeup, that cared about image. Even though I did care about image, I didn't want to be perceived that I cared about my image. And that led me into trying to be more boyish and punkish with my style. Wore a lot of black, wore a lot of flannel. And that's very much a style now. It's not my style, and it really wasn't my style then either. It was my style to be perceived as different, and that's what I wanted. And that's how I went about it. Because at the time, that was not the trend. Even though it's very much a trend now, it was not when I was growing up. Progress forward, that kind of wanting to be different was still prevalent through college. Now, I'm at Sherwin-Williams, and I don't have a fashion identity. I don't have a means to think of how I want to present myself and express myself through fashion, because I was just so depressed and not wanting to be even perceived by anybody. I didn't even want to be perceived as different. I just didn't want to be perceived, because working in a male-dominated field, especially a male-dominated field where it is very common to be disregarded as a woman and talked to very demeaningly, you just don't want to be acknowledged. Like, that was just my goal, was to not draw attention to myself in those situations. When I got this job, I was very much kind of like phoenixed. I was like, I am going to take pride in the way that I dress, and I'm going to create an identity, because I didn't even know what I liked. And so I just started looking around on Pinterest, and I found this video on YouTube of, I don't know this girl, I don't remember her name. I know that I'm subscribed to her now, but she does a lot of kind of clothing centered content. I wouldn't say that she's like a fashion blogger or anything. Like, I don't think she does hauls and stuff like that, but she very much focused on the specific styling of different skin tones, what colors looked good on you, way past the if you're just an autumn or winter or a spring, stuff like that. and I just dove into her content and basically started creating a blueprint for what I would be looking for when I am shopping, for when I am going to thrift. And I started with a color palette because that was the easiest thing for me to grasp moving from Sherwin-Williams. With my olive skin and the depth of my hair and my eyes, I actually made a kind of like sample color palette of what I typically go for, and I will put it somewhere on the screen. Now, I will sometimes venture out of this color palette, but the reason why I'm talking about this stuff in particular is because I want to do some fashion content in the future, and this I wanted to set up as a stepping stone, a cornerstone of how I got to where I am with my wardrobe. I get constantly asked how I curate my clothes, how I have an eye for what I pick out and why I pick out certain things, and even if I like a piece of clothing, why I don't pick it out even if I do like it, stuff like that. So I am just using this video as a cornerstone to start a different branch of content in the future. I started making these mental lists in my head of, oh, I was gonna wear these earrings and I completely forgot to put them on. I had these mental lists, so cute. These mental lists in my head, starting with the color palette that I'm drawn to. I'm drawn to really deep jewel tones, emeralds and sapphires on the cooler side, and on the gray side, the grayscale side. There are some nude colors that, depending on the undertone of them, look good on me, but for the most part, I don't go towards a whole lot of warm tones. And that's where I started, was that color palette, and really looking at colors when it comes to cohesion, and they work together, because blues and greens are always going to complement my skin tone well. And then on that, I looked at cut, I looked at material, and I don't know if I learned this from her or just dressing my body enough to where I knew what silhouettes looked best on me, but I am a curvy girl and I am short. So the 2/3, 1/3 method, I think that is what it's called. You never want to dress half and half, like half shirt, half pants. You always want to make one smaller than the other. And shorter blouses look best on me, and if I can bring the eye up and it makes my legs look longer, that is what I am looking for, because I have short legs and wide hips, and I knew kind of how to dress that shape. So I think in conjunction with the colors, that was the first time that I felt like I had a good grasp on starting a wardrobe from scratch, because like I said, I didn't really have anything that I felt was absolutely perfect for me in my wardrobe, because it was not a wardrobe that I made out of expression. It was a wardrobe that I made in college out of wanting to be different. And now my wardrobe is very much still different, but it is different out of, I am picking things that I like and disregarding trends. Now, I think that it is important to know trends, especially if you like a trend. And there's easy ways to know trends, like fashion trends, without you know, watching runway shows or whatever. The easiest way that I have found is just to go to whatever, say like last night I was looking at Anthropologie. I'm not in the financial standings to afford Anthropologie, but I find places like that I can resonate with their style, and then I look at what's new and what is their best sellers, stuff like that. That's going to tell you what people are liking. But I think trends can be dangerous if you follow them too closely, and that's why I'm kind of glad that I had this tendency to want to be different, because then I don't feel compelled to keep up. And I think that if you have a innate compulsion to keep up, it can be dangerous and it can be wasteful. And that's just something that personally for me has been always something that I've tried to avoid. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that if you are able to repurpose your clothes and sustainable, and I'm missing a word, sustainable and I don't know. I've lost my word, guys. But I know the purpose of fast fashion, and I know size inclusivity, and people who want to be included in trends don't have access to those trends as a means of buying the best quality pieces that are going to last a long time. And then there are things in my wardrobe besides the cut that if I see a piece will almost always bring me in to purchase it. And that is some sort of floral pattern and cool sleeves. Those are always something. Unique sleeve styles. And not all floral patterns, but most floral patterns, I'm just like, ooh, it's floral, I gotta have it. And depending on the people who you seek advice from, will say to kind of stay away from patterns, especially floral patterns, because floral patterns tend to rotate in popularity quite frequently. But I'm not looking at what floral patterns are popular right now. If something speaks to me and I know that I'm going to wear it, it meets my proportions, it meets my colors. If I feel like the pattern is something that I'm going to wear a lot, then I'll just go ahead and pick it up because I love floral patterns. One of my coworkers said the other day perfectly exactly what I kind of like go for as far as aesthetic, and I feel like you can have a aesthetic without it being like, I know that I've seen some videos of like that are anti-aesthetic, and I understand their arguments on the matter, but I also understand wanting to have a specific identity and a specific kind of fashion calling card, if you will, and evoke specific, how many times can I say specific? Some people want to evoke emotion when they are wearing their clothes. They want to be known for a style, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. A coworker of mine said perfectly what my aesthetic was, and they said basically that I always look like cottagecore grunge. Like, you look punk with like flower power, and I was like, that is exactly what I go for. I love leather. I love kind of edgier pieces with floral. I love flowy sleeves. I love looking feminine, but also punk at the same time. And for a long time that femininity was something that I did not want to be associated with. And it wasn't until I was older that I accepted my femininity as a part of myself. And it took a while. It was something that was not easy for me to do, but it wasn't impossible, and I got there. And I think that, yeah, that femininity is not something I wanted to be associated with when I was a kid. And, you know, I feel certain ways about it now, but I can't help how I felt. I can't help how I felt when I was a kid. And there's no point in me kind of agonizing over it. But I know now that I can be both. And I really like to embody duality, especially in my fashion and in my attitude. And I found that once I started to kind of embrace all parts of myself, a clear fashion vision kind of came to my head. And that's not to say that that's the case for everybody. Oh gosh, that was a feeling. But it was for me. And that is kind of how that's kind of how I go through my fashion and my shopping now. Does it blend between these two? Does it have the colors that I want, and does it have the fit that I want? And then what I think is important is finding what you find most important in your wardrobe. Is it cohesion? Is it color blocking? Is it mixing patterns? Is it neutrality? Like, what is it that is important to you in your wardrobe? Because to me, I think that is something that is really important, is having your own identity in your wardrobe, regardless of what it is. I know my sister is a lot more fair-skinned than I am, and she pulls off pastels and brights a lot better than I do. I don't find very few pastels look good on me. It depends on how dark I have my hair at the time, to kind of balance out that lightness. But brights, I just do not like brights, and that is something that looks really good on her. And she can do solids a lot better than I can. If I'm wearing a solid, it has to be something that's like in my color wheelhouse. A bright red shirt is just not something that is going to look as flattering on me as like an olive green shirt would. And I think that it's just really important to know what is important to you and kind of make those mental lists like I have, and it will help you navigate it. Because I know there are also some people in my life who get overwhelmed while they're shopping, especially for clothes. And I will say, you know, shopping somewhere that has your size is a privilege, and I am average size. I'm a 14 pants. Well, more like a 13. I did find some pants that were 13s, and they are the best fitting pants I've ever had in my life. And so much so that like I am tempted to find the brand online and purchase directly from them, because if they carry 13s, that is absolutely just perfect for me. 12s are a smidge too small. Like I said, 14s are a little too big. But I can, depending on the cut, go either way. And I know that is a privilege, is finding your size at a thrift store, so I understand the need for fast fashion. But I think, you know, going in with a game plan of what you like on yourself, colors, patterns, anything fit, just knowing a plan of how you would like to look is important and helps you narrow down what you like in your wardrobe. I would not say I'm a minimalist wardrobe person. Like, if any, and I'm not a maximalist either. I like to love everything that I own, and if that is, you know, 100 pieces, it's 100 pieces. If it's 10 pieces, it's 10 pieces. But I want to make sure that I'm wearing everything that I own, that everything is cohesive and goes together, and that is just my personal goals. You know, you might want to be more experimental. You might want to have some crazy patterns, clashing patterns that actually go together. I'm not a personal clashing patterns person, but I have seen it tastefully done on some people, and I think it looks really good. So I think it just depends on you, the consumer, and the person who is creating their wardrobe identity. Let's turn the light on. It's getting kind of dark in here. See, I like this palette. I like the shades, but like there's just so much fallout. So much fallout. I have glitter all over my cheeks, you guys. All over my cheeks. This was a lot. This a lot, man. And I feel like that green just overtook that blue. I went in with, I was trying to do something kind of like galactic, and that Artemis shade I put all over the center of my lid and I loved it, but then I mixed Pandora, which is a gold, and Freya, which is a shimmering white yellow, these two right here, and somehow it ended up green on my lid, and I'm just like, I don't know why, but they're very fallout-y shades. Now, I think it looks pretty. It looks very glittery, and for somebody who doesn't own any glitters minus the one and the Adventure palette, I like to have the option to have a glittery looking shade, but I'd rather find a formula that has, I mean, I even have some glittery looking shades in like my BH palettes. They're not as glittery looking, but they have a lot less fallout than these do. So I don't know. I don't know. This one is high up on the chopping block. Well, I don't have a lot of time, so I am going to kind of end it here and do the rest of my makeup and then come back with another video for you guys. I feel kind of abrupt here, but I'm running out of space on my phone, and I want to be able to give you guys an outro, and this will be it. If you guys like this video, if you guys are anxious to see me do some more fashion content, leave me some comments down below on some of your thoughts about creating your own wardrobe, what you specifically look for when you are going shopping, and if there are any specific stores that might carry your style that you like to shop. I'm just really excited to kind of have a cornerstone and a starting point for this kind of branch in my content. And I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please like, please subscribe, so we can be weird friends, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!